Okay. Um, Question 1. A classical economy is described by the following equations. 1. Production function. Y is equal to
Oh,
10k
don't
to the
worry, don't
power.
worry
Oh, okay.
about that one. Okay, so these are the equations that we need. Some from the product market, some from the labor market, some from the loanable funds market. Okay, so the first equation or function is the production function. That's real output, and as we know, it's a function of capital and then labor, but they've held capital constant at 4. And then the labor demand function too is a negative function of real wage. The labor supply function, which is a positive function of real wage, and it also depends on the marginal tax rate. And then we have the equation of exchange, MV is equal to PY, and we've been given the velocity of money. This is demand for loanable funds, assuming there's no bond finance government spending. So it's only investment, and investment is dependent on interest rates. And then we have the supply of loanable funds, the savings function. So these are the info, the various functions that we need to answer the questions that follow. Okay, so okay, Lizzie.
Where Y is real output, K is capital stock, N is employment, W over P is the real wage, T is the tax rate, and R is the interest rate. A. Find the equilibrium values of the following variables.
Okay,
I. Real wage.
okay,
Okay.
thank you. So these are the variables that we are supposed to find. W over P and small y, P, and then big Y. You have to know the difference between these two Y's. The small one is the real output, the one that we get from the production function. And then the big Y is the nominal, P times the small y. Okay, so we have to take note of that. And also, this is our nominal wage, the W, and then interest rate R. So we have to use this information to find the values of these variables. So we'll come to the B part. Let's deal with the A first. Right, so this is our production function, and then we have been given the labor demand function. Okay, so if you want to find your real wage, okay, you go to the labor market, and in the labor market we have equilibrium when the demand for labor is equal to the supply of labor. So we just equate the two functions, then we can solve for the W over P. But if you look at the labor supply function, it's dependent on the marginal tax rate. And the tax rate was given as 0.5. So we have to do that substitution and find NS, okay? So when you put 0.5 here, okay, if you put your 0.5 here, we have 40 plus 16, 1 minus 0.5, and then our real wage, okay? And 1 minus 0.5 will give us 0.5. 16 times 0.5 is 8. So the labor supply function becomes 40 plus 8W over P. So now for equilibrium in the labor market, ND should be equal to NS. ND should be equal to NS. So this is our demand for labor function. And then this is our supply of labor function. So we just equate them. Just do your grouping of like terms or whatever, then you find your W over P. So if you send minus 12 W over P to the right hand side, then you send 40 to the left hand side. Here will be 240 minus 40, so we have 200. And then 8, then we add 12, so we have 20 W over P. Okay, so if you want to find your W over P, you divide through by 20. So 200 over 20 will give us 10, which means that the real wage is the real wage is 10. Okay, the real wage is 10. So that is for the first part, the I. W over P is equal to 10. W over P is equal to 10. Okay, so now that we have our W over P, we can find our N. Okay, and you can put your W over P into either the ND or NS, whichever one that you choose, you should have the same answer. So if we use the ND, N should be equal to 240 minus 12 by 10, where the 10 is the real wage. So 240 minus 120, right? 240 minus 120, that should give us 120. So N is equal to 120. N is equal to 120. Okay. I hope we all understand. And then we were supposed to find the real output. Okay, that is our small y, our small y. So if you want to find your y, you just go to the production function and then you substitute the values of n and then k. Now we have n to be 120. The k was given in the question as 4. Okay, so y should be equal to 10 times k, which is 4 to the power half, times n, which is now 120, then minus 1 over 24, n, which is 120 squared. Okay, n, which is 120 squared. So just do your maths, and please, can you verify for me that when you simplify this, you are getting y to be 1,800?
Yes, sir.
All right, so it means that the real output is 1,800. Okay, real output is 1,800. Right, so before you get your y, you just need your n. The k most of the times will be given because it is held constant. So they will give you the value. Just do the substitution and then you should be able to get your small y. Okay, I think the next question was to find price. Okay, the price level. So that one we use the equation of exchange. Py is equal to m times v. Okay, so we've been given the value of mv as 3600. So if you want p, we divide through by y. We divide through by y. So p should be equal to 3600 over y. And y now we know it to be 1,800. So this over this is giving us 2, which means that the general price level is equal to 2. So P equals 2. Okay, so that's what we have here. All right, then we have to find nominal output. Okay, I mean, it's even straightforward. Your nominal output is just your PY, and it was even given in the question. So it's 3,600. But in case you want to know, the big Y is equal to P times the small y. So the price level that we have here is 2. The small y is 1,800. So the product of these two numbers should give us 3,600. So this is the value of your nominal output. Okay, your nominal output. I hope we understand. All right. Then we want the money wage. Okay, the W. Now, we know our real wage to be 10. Okay, from the labor market, real wage was equal to 10. Now we know the value of P to be 2. So if we want to find the nominal wage, making W the subject here, we have 10 times P. Okay, P is equal to 2. So W should be equal to 10 times 2, that is 20. So the nominal wage is 20. Nominal wage is 20. Real wage is 10. Price is 2. Then we're to find the real interest rate. Okay, if you remember, the interest rate is determined in the loanable funds market. And there too, equilibrium means that the demand for loanable funds should be equal to the supply of loanable funds. So this was the demand for loanable funds function, okay, the investment function, 102 minus 5R. And then the savings function, which is the supply of loanable funds, was given as this. So to ensure equilibrium, right, sum of You have a question?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Maybe can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Could you please scroll up to the nominal wage question?
Nominal
So
wage.
if yes, so if we are asked to, if the question was to find the real wage, how would you do
The
instead of
question
money?
was what?
If the question was asking us to find the real wage instead of money wage, how will we
I,
do it?
I think I think you just joined there. The first question was actually to find the real wage, W over P, and that one is you go to the labor market, you equate your demand for labor to your supply of labor, then you just solve for W over P. So this 10 here wasn't given. We solved for it. I think you didn't join. That's why. So if you want W over P, equate demand for labor to supply of labor. You have a linear equation in terms of real wage so that you can solve for your real wage. Okay. So here we're just using the real wage to find the nominal wage. Mhm. I hope that's okay. Okay, so I was talking about the interest rate. So we equate the demand for loanable funds to supply of loanable funds. So here too, we have a linear equation in terms of R. Linear equation in terms of R. So we just solve for R. You bring your minus 5 R here, send your 18 there. You're having 84 equals 12 R. R should be equal to 84 divided by 12. So we have R to be 7. So the uh, real interest rate is given as 7. Real interest rate is given as 7. All right, please, any question?
B. B. In order to increase raw output above the level obtained in Part A above, the following policy measures have been proposed. I. The marginal tax rate is to be reduced to 0.25. Should I continue?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay. Money supplies to be increased to 2,400 units. I. There is to be a bond financed increase in government expenditure of 28 units. For each of the above policy measures, find the new equilibrium levels of the following variables.
All right, thank you. So what we have to do is we have to go through the whole process again for each of these policies, okay? And now what they want to do is they want to increase the real output. So these policies have been proposed. So we have to take each policy, then we'll look at its effect on the variables that we initially found. And so we have to do it for the first one, the second one, and then the third one. Okay. So the first one, they've reduced the marginal tax rate. If you remember, initially it was 0.5. Now it's 0.25. So it's going to affect the labor supply function. Okay, so we have to go to the labor supply function and then we insert the new T, and then we find the equilibrium values of W over P and N in the labor market. Then we can go to the product market to go and find our new Y. So okay, so this is our labor supply function. This is our labor supply function. Okay, now the T is no more 0.5, 0.2. So we put our 0.25. So 16 by 1 minus 0.25. So we'll have 16 times 0.75, which is 12. Okay. So the new labor supply function is 40 plus 12 W over P. So to ensure equilibrium, we equate this new labor supply function to the old labor demand function, to the old labor demand function. So this is the old labor demand function. We equate it to the new labor supply function. Okay. So here too, we just solve for W over P. Bring this one here, send this one here. This will be 200. This will be 24 W over P. So find your W over P. We get 200 over 24. Okay, so I'm sure you can see that there's a reduction in the real wage as a result of reducing the marginal tax rate. So this is the first part. We've now found the new real wage as a result of this particular policy. Okay. Then we have to find our new N, So we put this new real wage into either the labor demand or the labor supply function. I would prefer you use the fraction, okay, so that you won't miss out any decimals. Okay, so that you won't miss out any decimals. So use the fraction. Okay, so this one is the demand for labor function. So 240 minus 12, and then the W over P here. We get 240 minus 100, and that should give us 140. So the new N is 140. You see that there's an increase in the N. There's an increase in N. So you go to the production function, then you go and substitute your new N, which is 140. The K is still constant at 4. The K is still constant. So your new Y should equal to 10 by 4 to the power half times the new N, which is 140, minus 1 over 24 by 140 squared. You just do the simplification, and this is what we are getting. And if you remember the previous value, this is, I think we've seen an increase. I think the first one was 1,800, but this one, you see that there's an increase. So the decrease in the marginal tax rates is having a real effect. Why? Because one, real wage has changed, N has changed, and now the real output too has changed. Okay, so this is the new Y. Okay, this is the new Y. Good. Then we're supposed to find price, right? We're supposed to find price. The equation of exchange is still like this. It's just that Y, the small y has changed. So if you want to find a new P, you divide the MVM by the new Y, okay, by the new Y. This one too, if you use the fraction, I think you'll be at the safer side. So just use the fraction so that you get the full value of P. So P is equal to this, okay? Now this is the new price level. And I think the initial one was 2. The initial one was 2. And now we are getting 1.8151. So there's a fall in the general price level. All right. This is for price. Then we need our nominal output. Okay, there will be no change in the nominal output. Okay. PY, the PY is this big Y, if you remember, is the small y times the P. If you do it, you still get the 3,600. So there's no change because the change in the marginal tax rate is a real change. It only affects the real variables. You see, there's a change in real weight, there's a change in nominal, and there's a change in small y too. Okay, but as for the nominal output, there's no change because there's an increase in y and there's a fall in p. That's why there's no change in the nominal output. And then for interest rates, if you change the marginal tax rate, it has nothing to do with the loanable funds market. It doesn't affect the demand for loanable funds. It doesn't affect the supply of loanable funds, which means that there will be no change there. So interest rate wouldn't change at all. Okay, interest rate won't change at all. So R2 is still at 7. Interest rate is still at 7. All right.